The MiG-25 was kept a guarded secret in India, designated Garuda after the large mythical bird of Vishnu from Hindu scriptures. It was used extensively in the Kargil War and Operation Parakram, conducting aerial reconnaissance sorties over Pakistan. On August 25, 1981, Indian Air Forces, then latest acquisition, the Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-25, rechristened as Garuda, flew its first sortie. The pilots in this flight were the then Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Idris Hassan Latif and Wing Commander Apramjit Singh, the first commanding officer of the then, newly raised 102 Squadron, the Trisonics. This is one of the fastest and highest-flying military aircraft ever manufactured. A total of 10 such aircraft, including 8 MiG-25 are single-seat high-altitude supersonic reconnaissance jets and 2 MiG-25U twin-seater conversion trainer jets, were procured from the then USSR. That was an era when the remote sensing satellite technology was in its nascent stage in India, and thus specialized spy aircraft acted as the eyes of the national defense establishment. Prior to the acquisition of MiG-25, the reconnaissance variant of the English electric Canberra bomber performed this role. This role required flying deep into the enemy airspace and taking pictures of its military and strategic assets. However, the proliferation of advanced air defense radars and surface-to-air guided weapons in India's neighborhood made the Canberras vulnerable. Thus, the need emerged for an aircraft that could carry out this mission immune to the advanced air defense capabilities of our neighbors. And this led to the acquisition of the legendary MiG-25, NATO codename Foxbat. This aircraft, which didn't carry any armaments, had an operational ceiling of more than 70,000 feet above mean sea level and the ability to fly at speed of up to Mach 3. And it was these characteristics which provided defense against enemy combat aircraft and surface-to-air missiles. Behind the design and development of this iconic jet lies an interesting story. In 1980, the USSR offered the MiG-25s to India, which purchased the reconnaissance variant. These were delivered in semi-knockdown condition by the massive Antonov transport jets. A new 102 Strategic Reconnaissance Squadron was raised to operate these jets. During the course of its 25-year operational history with the Indian Air Force, the MiG-25s served in 2 squadrons, both at the Bareilly Air Base. These were the 102 Squadron, Trisonics, from the time of its induction in 1981 to early 2003, and later the 35 Squadron, Rapiers, from early 2003 to mid-2006. The 102 Squadron is currently equipped with the Su-30 Mki jets and is based in the eastern sector. The MiG-25s flew thousands of strategic photo reconnaissance and electronic intelligence missions deep into operational theaters, which led to acquisition of invaluable information critical to our national security. These spy jets have played a pivotal role both in peacetime as well as war. It was employed in Operations Trident in 1987, Operation Vijay at Kargil 1999 and Parakram in 2002. Due to the highly sensitive nature of these missions, they have not been declassified as yet. In May 1997, an Indian Air Force MiG-25 while flying over Pakistan, near their national capital, broke the sound barrier. The resulting sonic boom led the Pakistanis to scramble their interceptors, which due to extraordinary flight characteristics could do no harm to the Indian spy jet. Pakistan's air defense radars catch an aircraft streaking towards India, it's not one of their own. The aircraft has just broken the sound barrier over Islamabad, and the sonic boom generated has echoed through the city streets, getting people to rush outside their homes and pretty much pausing every activity for a few moments. A brace of Pakistan Air Force F-16s, a type called the Fighting Falcon by its U.S. maker, takes to the air, armed to the teeth and cleared to destroy this impudent intruder. But this show of force is in vain because the intruder is a Garuda, the Indian Air Force name for the Soviet-made MiG-25, and flying at 65,000 feet, which is well beyond the operational ceiling of the Pakistan Air Force's top fighter aircraft. Even if the Garuda was below the 50,000 feet level, the Fighting Falcons would not have been able to catch up, for the Garuda was Mach 3 capable, and would have pulled away easily without the need to go all out. Pakistan lodged a complaint, India denied the incident had taken place. Spy Flights, a website dedicated to reconnaissance and surveillance aircraft, said that the MiG-25 pilot wanted to show that the Pakistan Air Force was the Indian Air Force's bunny. How fast is Mach 3.2? It's about 3,600 feet per second. To put that in context, a bullet fired from a modern military-grade rifle goes at about 2,300 feet per second. As the Americans took the plane apart later, they were amazed to find that this high-performance aircraft was built mostly out of a nickel-steel alloy and not titanium as they had assumed. They were shocked to find that the welding was done by hand and that rivets were used in the construction. Many experts laughed at the vacuum tube radar on the plane. Some perceptively realized that the Soviet decision to not use solid-state tech would keep the radar going, even if the plane flew through a nuclear blast. The robust simplicity of the aircraft was on display, and it took a while for experts to wrap their heads around it. Of course, the Foxbats, as NATO called them, were never regularly flown at Mach 3 or beyond. That would burn out the massive twin engines of the aircraft, but sustained flight at a jaw-dropping 2.3 Mach and above was easily done. The contemporary US-made SR-71, or the Blackbird, was at least as fast if not faster, but it was built in much smaller numbers and only for reconnaissance. The MiG-25 was built to fight, packing 4 air-to-air missiles. The Indian Air Force did not, however, use its MiG-25s in the interceptor role. The incredible cameras that came with the reconnaissance version, so powerful that all of Pakistan could be mapped in less than 10 flights, and the mind-bending edge of space altitudes the Garuda could fly at, meant it was perfectly suited to photograph and map out terrain and infrastructure in both China and Pakistan. And both China and Pakistan couldn't do a thing about it. Indian MiG-25s had between 8 and 10, making up the aptly named Trisonic Squadron operating from Bareilly, would hop across the Himalayas in a few minutes, take all the pictures they wanted and return safe, sound and unmolested. That's what the Islamabad sortie was about. Then Pakistan Foreign Minister, Gohar Ayub Khan, saying that strategic installations around Islamabad had been photographed by Indian MiGs. Indian Garudas played a key role both in the Kargil War of 1999 and then in Operation Parakram 2001-2002. By 2006, a shortage of spare parts had brought the mighty Garudas to the end of their service. The type was phased out. Indian Air Force pilots still speak with love and awe about the MiG-25. Technological advances have meant that satellites have taken over the role of the imaging that the Garudas did. But then satellites won't ever gift Islamabad a sonic boom anytime soon. The MiG-25 was probably the only aircraft in the history of the Indian Air Force that had no equal in the region. It flew missions over both Pakistan and China without fear of interception or being shot down. No aircraft in Indian Air Force's present inventory, including the Rafale and Sukhoi Su-30, can do what the MiG-25 did during its service, return unscathed after successfully accomplishing its mission over enemy territory, in broad daylight, and letting the enemy know it was there.